I got an email the other month from Charles Smith. Shout out to Charles Smith. That I got to look at this comic book. Like, there's a lot of space program stuff in here, and well, it's a comic book, whatever. But when I start looking at the dates on this thing, this is crazy. Let's go into this real quick here, folks. This is Mighty Samson, and this is 1966 June. This is by Western Publishing Company. This is some crazy, crazy stuff here, folks. This is basically talking about... So the whole plot of this thing is basically post-apocalyptic world. You still got New York, how they spell it in here, N-Yark. So that's kind of so they're not ripping off the name or whatever. So basically, after this tragedy happens, there's not many people on Earth. There's just a few. The antagonist of the story, Tara, she's basically shooting down these satellites. Now, when you look at these satellites, they got US and USSR satellites. A lot of these names are the same ones that, yeah, okay, when they wrote this in 1966, yeah, those were up there. They got a list here. Some of the satellites here that are actually real. They got the SciComm 3, Explorer 20. You know, and these dates are right. Interesting thing is, so she's flying in a UFO, so that's kind of a little disclosure there. Back in 1966, Roswell happened in 47. There's just a lot of stuff that's trying to get disclosed, and it was trying to get disclosed to the children through a comic book. It's pretty crazy when you look at this stuff. So she's beaming this weapon down to shoot these satellites down because she wants the technology she uses against the protagonist. She's like, I want to shoot these satellites down to rebuild our civilization using those technologies from those satellites. And he's like, yeah, it's probably a good idea to rebuild it. But the one she wants, ladies and gentlemen, is a weather weapon satellite. Zeus 2, weather control satellite. Now, this is like, we don't, right as of right now, we don't have any admitted weather weapon satellites, but we do have HARP. So just think about putting HARP on a satellite out there. And I'm sure this stuff is thought of. I'm sure it's already made and they're using this stuff. But it's like, think about that. That's like disclosure in your face. And we also know this is New York here because we got the Chrysler building right here. Yeah, it says right here, Chrysler building. All right, so that's not really crazy in and of itself. Wow, comic book that shows weather weapons, whoop-de-doo. Look at this, folks. We got these weird animals in this post-apocalyptic world. You know, they're giant spiders, whatever. Yeah, it's a comic book, whatever. But look at this right here, folks. What does this look like to you? Yeah, it looks like a fighter jet. You can look at this silhouette here, like a fighter jet or whatever, but what does it look like to you? You got the fins off to the side. I've done an episode on this. Now, for those ones that have seen that episode, that was a TR-3B episode. Now, this ain't a TR-3B, but this is the SR-75. Now, SR-75 didn't do its first test flight until 1987. This is 1966 comic book. Look at this. The fins, it looks exactly like it. You got the fins off to the side of the cockpit, and then the two triangles in back. Yeah, the back end ain't tipped up on the wings there, but this was probably a first prototype that they looked at and is like, okay, that's the way they want to design it. And then they just added the bend in later, but holy cow, disclosure in your face. That's freaking like what, 20 years later? And this one right here, look at that. That's kind of right in your face there too. And we know that the space stuff was just kind of taking off. And then we had, you know, in the 60s there, Kennedy talking about getting all this stuff going. Well, obviously they had it already, but the cover front. And this, you can tell this is just trying to bring the children up and get them to be up to speed with what's going on. But wow, SR-75, space-based weapons, weather weapons, it's all in here in the 1966 comic book, Mighty Samson. Insane. So somebody in there knew what they were talking about. Like, they must have been involved in these projects, or either that or they had it leaked to them through the government saying, hey, you got to write about this stuff. Could you fantasize about weather weapons being on satellites? I suppose, sure. But could you make that SR-75 that way? I don't know about that, folks. Somebody somewhere was involved in something